Well, good evening, and it's lovely to be with you again. Jonathan here. And thank you so much for your lovely comments. They were so very well received, very welcome. That's very kind of you to make those. Thank you for your subscriptions, and it's lovely to be able to bless you with these stories. I thought, as people have enjoyed the Enid Blyton last night, that we'd have another couple tonight. Two short ones together. So, once again, from Enid Blyton's Brer Rabbit's a Rascal. Brer Rabbit and Mr. Man. Now it happened one day that Brer Rabbit met Brer Fox, and they asked each other, "Howdy." "Howdy, Brer Fox," said Brer Rabbit. "I hope you're feeling well." "Howdy, Brer Rabbit," said Brer Fox. "Thank you kindly, but I'm feeling poorly." "Is that so?" said Brer Rabbit. "Then we'd better go along together, Brer Fox, for I'm feeling mighty poorly too." "I'm so hungry I could eat grass," said Brer Fox. "I'm mighty hungry too," said Brer Rabbit, "but I want something more than grass. Look, Brer Fox, who's this a-coming down the road?" "It's Mr. Man," said Brer Fox. "And what's that he's got over his shoulder, Brer Rabbit?" "Why, it's a great hunk of beef," said Brer Rabbit. "I'd like mighty well to get a taste of that beef," said Brer Fox. Well, Mr. Man came along, and Brer Fox and Brer Rabbit looked and looked at him and the meat. They winked at one another. "I've just got to get that meat," said Brer Rabbit. "It looks mighty far off to me," said Brer Fox. "Now, just you listen to me, Brer Fox," said Brer Rabbit. "You follow along behind me a good way off, and watch what I do. I've got a mighty fine plan." And so with that Brer Rabbit set off, and soon caught up with Mr. Man. "Howdy, Mr. Man," said Brer Rabbit. "Howdy, Brer Rabbit," said Mr. Man. "Fine day this." "It is that," said Brer Rabbit. And then they went on together, chatting away like old friends. Brer Rabbit kept on sniffing the air. Sniff, 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 sniff. "Have you got a bad cold?" asked Mr. Man. "No, Mr. Man," said Brer Rabbit. "I haven't got a cold. I'm only smelling something. And it doesn't smell to me like ripe peaches either. No, that it doesn't." "Well, I can't smell anything wrong," said Mr. Man. Pretty soon Brer Rabbit began to hold his nose and pretend to feel sick. After a while he shouted out to Mr. Man, "Gracious goodness, Mr. Man! It's that meat of yours that is smelling so bad. Wherever did you pick up that terribly rotten meat?" This made Mr. Man feel sort of ashamed of himself, to be carrying bad meat home. He thought it was mighty queer that he couldn't smell it was bad, and no wonder either, for that meat was as fresh as a new laid egg. There was nothing bad about that at all. It was just Brer Rabbit's wicked trick. Brer Rabbit went to the other side of the road and held his nose for all he was worth. Mr. Man looked sorry, and before they had gone much farther, he put the meat down on the side of the road. "What shall I do about it?" he said. "It can't be very bad. But if it smells like you say, I'll have to do something about it before I take it home." "Well," said Brer Rabbit, looking wise, "I did once hear that if you take and drag a piece of meat through the dust, it will make it fresh and good again. I've never tried it myself, mind you, but those that have done it tell me it comes all right again. And anyway, it can't do any harm to the meat, because, well, you can always just wash the dust off." "Well, I haven't got any string to pull it along in the dust," said Mr. Man. Brer Rabbit laughed loudly, but he still held his nose. "Now, if you lived in the woods as long as I have, Mr. Man, you wouldn't be without strings," he said. And with that Brer Rabbit hopped into the bushes, and soon came back with a long string of bamboo vines tied together to make a good strong rope. "Well, that's a mighty long string," said Mr. Man. "To be sure it is," said Brer Rabbit. "But if you have a short string, you're going to smell that meat, Mr. Man, and you don't want to do that, do you? It's a dreadful smell, sure enough." Then Mr. Man tied his piece of meat onto the end of the bamboo rope. Brer Rabbit broke a branch off an elder bush, and said he would stay behind with the meat and brush the flies off it, as Mr. Man pulled it along. So Mr. Man, he went on in front and dragged the meat, and Brer Rabbit stayed behind, he did. to take care of it. And he did take care of it too. He got a rock, undid the meat, and tied the rock on the string instead. Mr. Man went on in front, pulling the rope without looking back. And when Brer Fox came on behind, there, sure enough, was a hunk of meat lying by itself in the road. And on ahead was Brer Rabbit pretending to brush flies off the large rock. Mr. Man, he went on in front, dragging and pulling. After a while, Mr. Man looked back to see what Brer Rabbit was doing, and to ask him if the meat was smelling better. But where was old Brer Rabbit? Ha ha! He had run back to join Brer Fox, and he was just in time, because in another minute Brer Fox would have gobbled up all that meat, and that would have been the end of it. And that is the way Brer Rabbit got Mr. Man's meat. Aha! But wait a minute. Who's going to eat it? Brer Fox or Brer Rabbit? Well, now, that's the end of that story. That's the first one, but there is a continuation to this story, so I'm going to read this too for you. But it's the first time, isn't it, that we've seen Brer Rabbit and Brer Fox working together, usually mortal enemies, but very occasionally they got on together and were friends. On this occasion especially they were working together, but I'm not sure that they were, when they actually get what they're after, whether they're going to agree to share it. They should agree to share it. And poor Mr. Man, he's going to be without his meat, isn't he, and his family too. Anyway, I won't complicate the story with too much reality, or how bamboo vines managed to grow along with other deciduous European or North American plants. Anyway, how Brer Rabbit got the meat. Well, after Brer Rabbit got the meat from Mr. Man and rushed back to Brer Fox, tibuckety-buckety-buckety-boo, they carried the meat a good way off into the woods and laid it down on a clean piece of ground. "We'd better taste it," said Brer Fox. "That's so," said Brer Rabbit. So Brer Fox gnawed off a big hunk, shut both eyes, and chewed and tasted and tasted, and chewed and tasted. Brer Rabbit watched him, and then he started on the meat too. Brer Fox smacked his lips, looked closely at the meat, and said, "Brer Rabbit, it's lamb." "No, Brer Fox, surely not." "Brer Rabbit, it is, it's lamb." "Brer Fox, to be sure not." Then Brer Rabbit gnawed off a chunk, shut both eyes, and chewed and tasted and tasted and chewed. Then he smacked his lips and said, "Brer Fox, it's pork." "Brer Rabbit, it's not." "Brer Fox, I vow it's pork." "Brer Rabbit, it just can't be." "Brer Fox, it surely is." Well, they tasted and they argued and they argued and they tasted. And after a while Brer Rabbit said he wanted some water, because pork always made him thirsty, and he rushed off into the bushes. He came back wiping his mouth and clearing his throat, as if he had just been drinking. But he hadn't really. Why, that wily old rabbit. Well, as soon as Brer Fox saw Brer Rabbit wiping his mouth, he felt thirsty too. And he spoke to Brer Rabbit. "Brer Rabbit, where did you find the water?" "Well, across the road and down the hill and up the big gully," said Brer Rabbit at once. Well, Brer Fox, he loped off, he did. And after he had gone, Brer Rabbit waved his paw to him in a cheeky manner, and grinned all across his face. Brer Fox crossed the road, rushed down the hill, but he couldn't find any gully. He kept on till he found the gully at last, but there wasn't any water there. Whilst Brer Fox was gone, Brer Rabbit dug a hole in the ground and hid the meat there. After he had hidden it well, he went to a tree and cut a long hickory stick. Then he sat down and waited for Brer Fox to come back. Very soon he heard him. Then Brer Rabbit got into a clump of bushes and took the hickory stick with him. There was a young tree nearby, and Brer Rabbit began to hit it with his hickory stick as hard as ever he could. And every time he hit the tree, Brer Rabbit squealed out as if Mr. Man had got him and was beating him hard. "Pow, wow! Pow! Oh, mercy, Mr. Man! Pow, pow! Oh, please, Mr. Man! Chippity pow! Oh, Mr. Man, let me go! Oh, Brer Fox took your meat! Pow, pow, pow!" Well, When Brer Fox heard all this noise going on, pow, 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 as if Brer Rabbit was being well whipped, and then Brer Rabbit, squealing, he stopped in a hurry and listened hard. And every time Brer Fox heard that hickory stick coming down, pow, he grinned to himself. Aye, aye, Brer Rabbit, you tricked me about that water, didn't you? And now Mr. Man's got you, ha-ha! Well, after some time the noise stopped, and Brer Fox listened to see what was going to happen next. And he heard a noise as if Brer Rabbit was being dragged off by Mr. Man. But it really was, old Brer Rabbit dragging a great big branch through the bushes, and grinning from ear to ear. Brer Fox listened to this, and he felt mighty pleased. Ho, ho, Mr. Man's dragging Brer Rabbit off by his hind legs. Hi, you tricked me about that water, Brer Rabbit, and now you're getting punished for it, hi. By and by, Brer Rabbit came tearing through the woods, as if he'd escaped from Mr. Man. He was shouting at the top of his voice. Run, Brer Fox, run, run! Mr. Man says he's going to take the meat up the road to where his son is. And then he's coming back after you, Brer Fox. He's cut a new hickory stick to beat you. Run, Brer Fox, run! Brer Fox flicked up his heels and ran as if the dogs were after him. And old Brer Rabbit, he sat down by the hole where he had hidden his meat. And he dug it up again and ate it in peace. And when he thought of Brer Fox running away from it, he just laughed and danced and kicked up his feet like mad. There never was such a rascal as that old Brer Rabbit. Well, there we are. Brer Rabbit. He is a rascal, isn't he? It's a shame he couldn't learn to share. But never mind. Well, we'll hear a bit more from Brer Rabbit tomorrow as well. But it's been lovely to spend this time with you. Good night now. God bless. Bye for now.